Hey,
Hello, how are you?
hello. I'm really good. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm really great, and I am super delighted to be with you because we are going to have a conversation about one of my favorite topics in the world, which is would you teach a fish to climb a tree? And we're going to start this conversation with a statement that the Albert Einstein said, and it says, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." So we
Mm.
are both what we call X-Men, and X-Men is an affectionate name for those who are not neurostereotypical, and we are neurodivergent, and we have a very different way of functioning and a very different way of seeing the world and a very different way of taking information. And Troy, you have a beautiful book called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree in your hands. And Troy is going to read a little piece because one of the things that the both of us are very committed to is people that function different, like Troy and I, that they actually are not made wrong, that they are supported to know that they're a genius and they have a different way of functioning in the world. Would you like to read the piece?
Yeah, of course. There are particular cultures of thinking or attitude with regards to way people, and especially kids, should function. Those who don't function according to the rules and regulations in play around them are labeled by the advocates and promoters of those cultures. This tends to happen a great deal in educational and medical communities. So often, the conclusion is reached that children who don't fit in need to be taught how to behave so they can learn to function as if they were normal and average and just like everyone else. And I get that is a recipe for disasters.
It is a recipe for a disaster. So when you tell someone who functions different, I have three kids that are all neurodivergent. And when you tell someone that they should function normal, average, and real and fit in to the stereotypical way of functioning, you're saying two things. You're telling that child, because in this conversation we're going to have a conversation about X-Men as kids, and what you're doing to a child when you're saying that there is something wrong with you because you're not normal, average, and real. And then you're asking them to become something that they are not, which is you're actually not allowing them to be who they are, and you're projecting that there is something wrong with you. And so myself and Troy, I'm facilitating a class called X-Men and Kids next weekend. It's an intro class. And so myself and Troy, when we met each other, we had the point of view that there was something like radically wrong with us because we weren't neurotypical, because we weren't happy or we weren't thriving in the way that we could when we were, number one, told there was something wrong with us because we're not normal, average, and real. And number two, to become something that I'm not trying to fit in. And that had, I'm going to say, severe implications for both of us.
Yeah. And I get like the most important part. It just doesn't work. And like I personally, for a very long time, tried to like fit into this reality of like you have to go to high school, you have to go to university, and that's the only way that you are successful. And like there was like so many structures that I was trying to force myself into because it was not a natural ability that I personally had. Like I actually had to force myself. And like when I was putting, I'm gonna say like if I'm putting like 10, let's say as an amount, like I was not even getting like 0.1 back as like as return. And like I'm so grateful for the tools of Access Consciousness, because Access Consciousness was the first place that I actually heard, like, what if everywhere that you think you're wrong, you are strong? And
Yes.
it took me a good amount of time
Yes.
to like really receive that in different area of my lives, because I had the point of view like I have to fit in, like and if I finally fit in, that I would be able to, like, my life will work. But actually I think my life worked when I was give up fitting in and truly acknowledging like how different I am and
Mm.
choosing according to that. Then everything in my life starting to nourish, is starting to grow, and it's starting to become way more joyful. And actually now like I'm generating way greater with less amount of effort and force. So how does it get even better than that?
I'm so grateful you brought up the structure conversation. The thing about X-Men, they're a mutation of the species and they function in different ways. And a lot of the places that we have abilities, people have said it's a disability when they're labeled. And so one of the things that we do not function from is structure, and we don't even understand it. You know, how come this is a rule? How come this is a regulation? So when we function from question, we actually thrive in, what do you know? How do you see this? What's your way of being with this information? And so for me, I've seen Troy thrive in when he was supported to live from question, choice, possibility, and contribution. And I've seen myself thrive when I started using the tools. What am I aware of? What am I perceiving? X-Men are highly sensitive to judgment, and most people in this reality live from judgment, which is this is right, this is wrong, and it's a control mechanism so that things don't change. So they actually are here to create change. And if you don't ever see the gift that they can be for you beyond the label, then you can never receive from that child or that fish, you know? I actually haven't done an X-Men and Kids, which kind of surprised me. All my classes have been about X-Men and Kids. The kids are not the problem. It's the points of views that are surrounded and the projections on them are creating the difficulties for these kids. If you would love to come into an intro class in X-Men and Kids, not only for your kids, not only for your nieces, maybe the children that you work with, it could be you're the kid now in an adult body. Come on in and we will go on a journey of discovery about what you know beyond the structure, beyond the formation of the way that it's supposed to be, and beyond the making the rules and regulations greater than you. So what are you making more important than the way you function? Are you making a rule or a form or a structure greater than you? And if you started to look at the way that you function and what makes you happy, then what could change in your living?
Yeah, and I just want to underline one thing that Rachel said, like it is like the kids, or like you, if that in this case like you're looking to, like, you are not the problem, like, and when you are willing to, I'm going to say especially like as a parent, like when you're willing to go beyond that limitations, that point of views, that structures, that's right, this is wrong, this is normal, like this is how it's supposed to be, then like if you have a kid or even like a person that's around you that you're working with, which like that was for me Rachel, because she was like, oh, like actually the capacity that you have, it's different, but it's not wrong. And like for me, like in that space, I was like, oh, like am I not wrong? And like just like being in that space allowed me to like grow and nourish and actually know that there is nothing wrong with me. And actually when I'm looking to, and when I'm willing to look from a different place, actually it's a gift that I am, that nobody acknowledged before. So it's such a beautiful class, and it's 2 hours, and like where you can come ask your questions and listen to other people's questions that may like contribute to you, how does it get even better than that?
And the other thing I would like to add is, as a parent of 3 neurodivergents, 2 of them now are living very different lives, football coaching, and to be able to support them, because the X-Men's point of view is, if the sun rises in the morning, I'm wrong. Shannon O'Hara said this. And so what if you could create something so much greater? And what if you could be that contribution that creates a wave of change in the way people that are different in their functionality are treated in the world? What if you could honor the X-Men, which is hold them in regard and not judge them? What future would that create?
And it starts with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for you and what you continue to teach me every day. And thanks for being a fish.
Hey, thank you so much for being a fish, and thanks so much for being in my life and swimming with me.
Let's swim.
Exactly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.